ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। The third and the fourth mantras of the second section of the second Mundaka is giving us, with the analogy of a bow and arrow, hitting a target and penetrating through it, the way of our scheme of our spiritual journey. Having sharpened this instrument, this antakarana, intent on experiencing that supreme consciousness without any distraction, any other thought of the outer world, using the support of pranava, that is Om, this Omkara Upasana, through which the mind is sharpened, this jiva takes this journey inward and gets shot as though into the target of that supreme consciousness and merges into that target, becomes one with it. This beautiful journey, which has been indicated in this section, the attempt is that supreme consciousness that was indicated in the previous section, how do I gain abidance in it? How do I reach it? And therefore, this method, this technique has been prescribed very, very beautifully in a unique manner. After this, the Guru feels that as such the instruction is done. Now the Shishya has to follow and reach the goal. But still, there are so many mantras, there are few sections also left. So the Guru feels that indicating it just once is not sufficient because it is very subtle. It is so close to us that we miss it because it is me, myself. And therefore, again and again, with different types of words, different types of lakshanas. We saw lakshana, indicator, lakshana, either indicating the innate quality, swarupa lakshana, indicating the something with reference to something familiar, that is tatastha lakshana, and indicating what it is not, that is atadvyavriti lakshana. So these different words, indicators are used again and again, repeatedly. And as far as any literature is concerned, any kind of repetition is considered to be you know, not a good quality. It is a dosha in the literature. Whereas here, in this scripture, there is this repetitive reinforcement of the thought based on need, that it is necessary because in spite of being indicated so many times, still nothing is happening. So some more again with few other words. So that is what is again being done in the fifth mantra. यस्मिन् द्यौः पृथिवी चान्तरिक्षम् यस्मिन् द्यौः पृथिवी चान्तरिक्षम् ओतं मनः सह प्राणैश्च सर्वैः ओतं मनः सह प्राणैश्च सर्वैः तमेवैकं जानथ आत्मानम् जानथ आत्मानम् अन्यावाचो विमुञ्चथ विमुञ्चथ अमृतस्यैष सेतुः अमृतस्यैष सेतुः. This supreme consciousness is that which, in which, yasmin, in which that supreme consciousness, yasmin, akshare purushe, dyauhu prithvi cha antariksham. All this, dyauhu, the heavens, prithvi, the earth, and antariksham, the interspace. So all these different realms of existence and experience, yasmin akshare purushe, in which consciousness, all this is otam. Otam means in which all this is centered, established, supported. So that in which the different realms of experiences in the macrocosm, heavens, interspace and earth, everything is established. And manah saha pranaischa sarvaihi, and also is established the individual mind along with the pranas, the physiological functions. The sarvaihi means all the pranas, or sarvaihi means all the senses, the organs of action, and pranas, mind, everything is established in it. So what does it mean? Yasmin, in which the Dyauv Prithvi Antariksham means the totality, the macrocosm, and Manas Saha Pranaishcha Sarvaihi means the microcosm, individuality. All this is established in that in which all this is established. From the standpoint of individual, for me it is still possible to appreciate what is it that which is the support or the substratum of all my instruments. Mind is able to function, the senses are able to function, the physiological functions, the pranas are functioning. How is it all functioning? By themselves? Are they having that sentiency? No, they have borrowed that sentiency from what? That consciousness. So that inner self, because of whom all this vitality is seen, that is indicated here. And we can understand, yes, the supreme witness, the one who not only knows the objects of the senses, but also knows the senses, the mind behind the senses, all this is known to that one consciousness, one who illumines all our experiences and the experiencing instruments. That consciousness, yes, understood. This part, still intellectually, I can comprehend, try to understand, okay, this is possible to understand. But, and even this is possible to accept. But the other part, which is Dyauhu Prithvi cha Antariksham cha. This whole, the universe, that in which the universe is supported or established or centered, that becomes a little difficult to digest. Why? Because when I think of the individual, yes, the witness, understood. Now this witness, in our mind, the concept of witness is just something tiny which is inside us, and then outside is the sense, then behind that is the mind, and behind that little one is sitting there and it is looking everywhere outside. What is everyone doing? What is seeing? What is hearing? What is it is, so we have this concept, that self, I am that self. Okay, understood. But when we think that that same self is the substratum of this entire universe, that becomes a little difficult for us to digest. And this is what here in this first half of this mantra itself is indicated, that the substratum of this universe and the witness of this universe, both are one and the same. The Adhisthana of the Jagat and the Sakshi of the Jagat, both are one and the same. And this statements that bring about this unity is called Mahavakya, or the great statements. So the great statements of the Upanishad indicate the oneness of the microcosm and the macrocosm, or the oneness of the one who is the witness or the illuminator of this universe and the very support or substratum of this universe. So here these two are brought out in this first half of the mantra itself. So in a way we can consider this as Mahavakya. Mahavakyas, yes, famous Mahavakyas are few, which people say, I know this Mahavakya, like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. These are all Mahavakyas which people have heard. Even students of Vedanta have heard few of them which are very famous. Prajnanam Brahma, Tattvamasi, I am Atma Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. But here Mahavakyas are numerous in all the Upanishads, in various places. And here is one such very potent statement made, where when we understand that that in which is centered the mind, the senses and the pranas, that same consciousness is centered the entire universe. So the substratum of the individual instrument is the substratum of the total universe also. So in other words, in Puja Gurudev's words, the self in me is the self everywhere. There is only one self, and that one is the support of everything. Dyauhu, Prithvi cha, Antariksham cha. If we look at it, the field of experience and the instruments of experience, both are supported in one substratum, that is Supreme Consciousness. The instrument also and the field also. So if field and instrument both are supported by that consciousness, both are centered in that consciousness, then what about the experience that comes about when they contact each other? That experience also is only illumined by the consciousness. There is nothing else. So is there anything called experience? Everything, the substratum is the self only. So is there anything other than the self? Microcosm, macrocosm, whatever it may be. So there is just this. So that which I reach by transcending my senses, mind, intellect, etc., that is the very substratum of this entire universe. And to get abidance in that supreme consciousness is the goal of human life. So here that is why he is saying, Tam eva ekam janatha atmanam. That one self alone you know. And when it is janatha means know, see, janatha word was used in the first mantra. Then after that, 3 mantras, it was said penetrate, vidhi, vidhi. That also has the meaning of know, but also vedhavyam. To penetrate, like the arrow penetrates the target. And then again he is saying the word janatha. So we have to understand janatha and vidhi, both words are used in the same connotation, that yes, knowing, but knowing how? Not as an object different from me, knowing as myself, where the knower merges into the known. That is what is the attempt. Because janatha, whenever we hear this verb know and this instruction from the Guru, you should know the self, then we try with our intellect to objectify it and then try to know it as something separate from us. And then we say, yes, I know the self. What is the self? Our self is absolute bliss, self is absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. I know that very well. But that is just a thought. That is just a concept. That is just an understanding. These are words. So I have not really known. Here janatha means experience it as one's own self. Atmanam janatha. Know the self means me, as me only. The self cannot be known as this. The self has to be known as me. Atmanam janatha. And which is that Atmanam? Who is that self? The one who is the substratum of the total as well as the individual. When we say total, individual is included in that. That self which is both the substratum as well as the illuminator or witness. And that is ekam, that is one alone. In other Upanishads, it is said ekam eva advitiyam, means there is no second, nothing other than that. One alone. Because when we say it is the illuminator, it is a witness, then we will say witness in every instrument, every body, every mind. That witness has to be the different. No, it is not different. It is one. Ekam Atmanam means once we realize ourself, then everything is known. Tam eva ekam Atmanam. That one self Atman alone janatha. Eva. There is nothing else to be known. Very interesting. The beginning of this Upanishad, Om Brahma Devanam Pratama Sambhuva Upabhuva, that Brahma, that Ishvara, he gave this knowledge to Jeshtaputraya, Atharvaya, Jeshtaputraya Praha, gave it to his eldest or the most qualified, fit son. And then he further passed it on. And in this parampara, it is very interesting to note that the Guru has given to Shishya, and some places the Guru and Shishya are father and son. Puja Guruji comments on this, says this is the best gift a father can ever give to his son. This self-knowledge. And here the Guru has accepted the Shishya and he is saying, this alone is supposed to be known. Tam eva ekam atmanam janatha. And what was the question of this Shishya also? What is that knowing which everything gets known? He's saying this is the one. This alone you know. That's all. Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati tam eva ekam atmanam janatha. This is the self, knowing which everything is known. Now we say, but then when we talked about the question, that clarity in the student was also there, because he said, what is that knowing which everything of this is known? Sarvam idam vijñātam bhavati. So he already knew that it is not one of this, it has to be known as I only. We had discussed about this during when we were discussing the question. So the disciple already knew that it is I, the self. But what is that self? Here being indicated, that which is the substratum and the illuminator of the universe. That one self alone has to be known. And after this, there is a very important statement. You call it important, you call it very natural kind of instruction. And sometimes it is found difficult also. What is saying? Anya vacho vimunchatha. The very famous statement. Anya vachaha. Other talk. Vimunchatha. Give up. Know the self alone. Give up all other talk. So talk means what? The talk means when we speak, that speaking happens. Before that, the mind chatters. So stop thought of anything else. Just remain focused. The previous mantra said, apramattena vedhavyam. Previous mantra said, it has to be, the target has to be hit. You have to take aim and hit. Apramattena means don't get shaken, don't get deflected, don't get distracted. Means what? Anya vacho vimunchatha of this mantra. Don't talk about other things. Don't think about other things. So much of single pointedness is required to gain success here. Gurudev very beautifully compares, if somebody is taking an aim with the arrow and bow, he says at that time how steady the hands should be. If even a little bit of unsteadiness or shakiness is there in the hands, the target will be missed. Even if it is hitting, it will not be able to go through it. It might be somewhere. So it has to be so steady. Apramattena vedhavyam. Anya vacho vimunchatha. Drop everything else. Just pursue this completely. Now we may say, it is, it is not practical teaching. It is not practical. Why it is not practical? How can we give up everything? We have so many responsibilities and all. So we have to fulfill all those things and all. There are so many things. I can't give up and suddenly using Anya Vacho, don't talk about anything else, don't think about anything else, just do this only. How is it possible? Okay, may not be possible. But we can at least devote some time of the day. It could be half an hour, it could be 15 minutes, where we are just pursuing this hand Anya Vacho Vimunchatha, not thinking about anything else. Those 15 minutes can we have this state of mind where nothing else, just this. Anya Vacho Vimunchatha. at oneself alone, nothing else. So when we are sitting to practice meditation, we are sitting inspired, fresh, cheerful, and in that time, nothing else. Just the journey within. Gurudev gives this very beautiful, practical visual. He says when the arrow is fixed in the bow, because this example is so beautiful. When the arrow is fixed in the bow and when it is pulled backwards, and then only it's released. But when it is pulled backwards, what happens? The bowstring is pointing towards us, as though the arrowhead is towards us, indicating this is a journey within. So it is not that shooting the arrow somewhere outside, although the analogy is saying shoot the target, but it is actually the journey within. And when I am turned inwards, anya vacho vimunchatha. Don't get distracted by anything outside. Nothing matters. At least for that time, nothing else matters. That is what was said in the previous mantra as apramattena vedhavyam. And here he is saying, tameva ekam janatha atmanam anyavacho vimunchatha. Give up all other thoughts, all other desires, all other distractions. And he says, amritasya esha setuhu. This is like a bridge that takes us to Amrita. Amrita means immortality. So this is like a bridge that will help us go to the other shore of immortality, as though this river or ocean of samsara, this transmigration, we are on the shore where we keep on undergoing this constant change. But when we go to the other side, there is immortality. No death, no birth, no change. And that, what is that shore? Because when these kind of metaphorical or visual examples are given, we feel that okay, we are here and we have to go there. We are in the realm of the mind intellect equipment. We have to go to the realm of the self, where there is no change. We are abiding there. Amritasya esha setuhu. This pursuit will only help me gain that abidance in that supreme consciousness where there is no change, no modification, no perishing. Give up everything. A single pointed pursuit is what is required. So every achievement, Puja Gurudev says, every achievement demands its quota of effort. And this is what is the price to be paid. And if we understand what is the gain after that, we understand that this price is nothing. The gain is worth much more, but we are getting it very cheap. All that is demanded is be single-pointed, be sincere, and give up everything else. Now, give up also, we have to understand, give up does not mean I stop functioning in the world. Give up means that is not my priority anymore. I do not give it too much of importance in life. And that is what is a characteristic of spiritual life. Puja Guruji very beautifully puts it in a humorous manner. But behind that humor, there is a lot of depth also. He says, a spiritual person has minimal worldly needs, and a worldly person has minimal spiritual needs. And that is so true. If my mind is completely involved in worldly pursuits, then I say, no, somebody asked me, did you do japa? Japa? Is it Diwali today? Why? Well, I do japa only one day in the year. Did you go to the temple? Oh, last month only I went. Why are you asking again and again? No, next month I will go. So, minimum spiritual needs. Did you do your sadhana? Of course. I do it every day. What is your sadhana? I pass by the puja room. That is my sadhana. And then all that agarbatti and all, somebody must have lit. I smell that and go. That is my sadhana. Minimal spiritual needs. That much is enough. More than that, what can we do? This much only we can do. And a person who is in spiritual pursuit, for such a person, worldly needs, minimal worldly needs. So whatever you get, okay, I am happy. Why? Because anyway, I don't want to get, I don't live for this. My goal is something else. So I can manage. Whatever is there is enough. That kind of worldly needs are minimal. And worldly needs does not mean just needs of the objects. Even from people. People come and say, no, give lot of importance and respect and all. Oh, come, welcome, welcome. Put mala and all, do namaskar and all. And one day nothing is given, nobody pays attention also. That person is as much at ease with or without such importance or attention. Why? Because that is not my pursuit anyways. How does it matter? So he doesn't run away also and he doesn't run after it also. He is just happy. If it comes, very good. Doesn't come, doesn't matter. Why? Because anyway, that is not my field of pursuit. I am looking for something that is deeper, that is greater, subtler. So, anyavacho vimuchatha. That comes naturally to an advanced, sincere seeker. Slowly, our worldly talks, worldly thoughts, worldly pursuit, everything starts getting dropped. And it does happen when we get sincere in our sadhana, even our social circles get adjusted accordingly. Now, worldly circles, we may be in that worldly circle, but either those people will start talking spirituality when we are there, or the people will change. Somehow, they'll say, this person is very boring, no need to go there. But those kind of people who still consider us uninteresting will come. So automatically these things drop off. And people say, no, he doesn't care for these kind of things. Don't talk these things, useless. Okay. Good, thank you. So anyavacho vimunchatha. This is the bridge for us to move forward. Now in the next one, if you look at it, each one has such beautiful ways of indicating that same truth and reality. In every mantra, what is indicated is that one truth only. There is nothing, multiple truths are not there. But every mantra is beautiful in its own way. So here in the sixth mantra again, he says, Ara ivarathanabhau samhata yatra nadyaha. Ara ivarathanabhau samhata yatra nadyaha. Sa eshontascharate bahudha jayamanaha. बहुधा जायमानः ओमित्येवं ध्यायथ आत्मानम् ओमित्येवं ध्यायथ आत्मानम् स्वस्ति वः पाराय तमसः परस्तात् स्वस्ति वः पाराय तमसः परस्तात्. Again here another very beautiful metaphorical example is given for us to visualize and try and move towards it. Ara iva rathanabho. Like there is a wheel. Here it is said chariot, wheel of a chariot. but we would understand a wheel of a bike or a bicycle. When you see a wheel of a bicycle, it has various spokes. Spokes are called araha. So these spokes, they connect the circumference, they emanate from the circumference, but are all meeting in the Rathanabhi, means the center or the hub of the wheel. So any wheel we find, there are spokes connecting the circumference, every part of the outer side part of the circle to the central hub. So just like these spokes are connected to the central hub of the wheel, similarly here, samhata yatra nadyaha. Nadyaha, nadi means, many places it is translated as nerves. But it is not nerves that medically, clinically can be seen. The nerves, nerve tissues, and then it is the nervous system starting from the brain and the spine and the other nerves. It is not that nerve which is physical. Here, nadi word means, even in Ayurveda and all, nadi means they check the pulse and all, and they say that this is the problem and all those things. So even that is not nadi, because some places it is translated as capillaries and all those things. It is neither capillaries of the blood vessels that we know of, or nor the nervous system nerves. But this nadi means, here Gurudev very beautifully explains that nadi means they are channels, subtle channels of energy, which cannot be seen, but that energy is flowing throughout. For example, whenever we say any living part of the body, there is circulation of blood. So what is happening? The blood is going there, and then from the heart, when it comes, it is a thicker artery. Then slowly it thins, and then going to, now if we go tip of the little finger also, there is blood going. So how is it going? The very thin capillaries, they reach there, and then slowly the reverse happens, and then it is brought back to the heart. So this is happening in every part. Our tiny thin earlobe also, there is blood reaching. That is why we have sensations. That is why it is living. So if blood is reaching there, the capillaries have to be so thin. So even physical blood to pass through this such difficult corners of the body also, we have physical capillaries which are taking this. If we think about, subtler than those are the energy capillaries, which are reaching every nook and corner of this body, even the most distant places. Everywhere this energy flow is there. And when we say energy, it is again not that we study in physics, because these words, now words we have to use that only. It is not that physical energy that we are talking about. Energy means the vitality, the consciousness, the sentiency. So these nadis, there are various scriptures that talk about this nadi, various nadis, and we must have heard that there is two main nadis that keep going in a helical form and come and meet here, and there is one central nadi that goes above, and then that's where you have to raise your kundalini, and then it comes out and all. So these kind of things we must have heard. So that is a different science altogether. But here what is meant is, the focus is not on the nadis. The focus is like the spokes that meet in the central hub. Where do these nadis come and meet? So we find other scriptures, even other Upanishads say that all this is centered in the heart, the center. And heart again is not the pumping heart. Gurudev says this is the spiritual heart, which is a little to the right of the pumping heart. Means center. What is the center? Now, this also is indicated in various other Vedic texts and all those things. We are not going into those. But the important point from our experiential knowledge is that place where we feel I. Where do we feel I? Whenever we say, okay, who is a spiritual seeker? We say, I. Okay. I mean, where does our hand go to indicate I? It doesn't go anywhere else. I am a spiritual seeker. We don't do that. I. No. We say I. Who will help me? I will help you. I. This I comes in the, this is our heart. Where that I is experienced. Although this I that we are speaking of is a thought, is an ego. But that ego thought is emanating from where? Where is that I-ness coming from in that I thought? It is coming from that heart, which is the center of that consciousness. That is why it is said, like the spokes are connected to the central hub of the wheel, all these nadis which are spread out in every part of the body, the center in which they all converge, that heart, सह एषः अंतश्चरते बहुधा जायमान. And in that is sitting that consciousness. Now, if we say in that is sitting consciousness, we have to understand, we took the examples of government and government office. Government is there throughout the land. But if I have to contact the government, I have to go to a government office. Similarly, consciousness is there everywhere, even outside the body, not just in the body. But if we have to contact it, means to experience it, it can be experienced only as I. And it can be experienced only in the I center, that is heart. That is why it is said, that is where it is seated. Esha antascharate. And sitting there, what does it do? Bahudha jayamanaha. It sits inside and keeps being born in different ways. But he is birthless. Yes, he is birthless. But still he keeps being born in different ways. Bahudha jayamanaha. How is it different ways he is born and all? I don't understand this. He is the one lending sentiency to all, the entire body, the mind, the senses, everything. And as soon as that sentiency is lent and that instrument starts functioning, then he is born again and again. For example, when the eyes are open, it is sentient, the mind is behind the eye, and perception of color and form happens, then he is born as the seer. When some sound is heard, he is born as the hearer. When there is an emotion in the mind, let us say the mind is agitated, angry, then he is born as the angry person. So as though he is born as these forms, but he is unaffected by any change. He is sitting there. But it is he. We are using he, okay? He or she or whatever we want to use. Because it is sarva, not sarvanam. Sarvanam is pronoun. It is sarva. It is all, everything. So any name can be used. So that consciousness is as though appearing as this. Seer, hearer, taster, toucher, smeller, thinker, feeler, whatever. Bahudha jayamana. Seated in this heart center, he is as though born different ways. He becomes different things as though, but really he is not being born at all. He is not affected by any change. Such self, such consciousness, Atmanam Dhyayatha. Now, the Guru says, I think the different verbs are used. Initially Janatha, then Vidhi, then again Janatha, and now Dhyayatha means contemplate upon that self. Atmanam Dhyayatha. How? Evam, in this manner. Which manner? That was just indicated. What was indicated? Om Ityevam. It was indicated, use this tool, Om, and contemplate upon that self, which is the indweller, which is the center of all activity. And as though it only is becoming everything, you just contemplate on that. After saying this, Gurudev says, now more than this, what instruction can be given? Everything is given. Says Guru's instruction is over. Then Guru says, what should I say more than this? So he says, okay. What does he say? Swasti vav paraya tamasav parastat. He says, Godspeed to you. Best wishes to you. May you reach tamasav parastat, beyond this ignorance. May you reach that land of light, that experience of consciousness. May you attain abidance in this. Swasti. So he is blessing the student. Okay. To go more than that, what should I do? Instructions have been given. Now, good wishes and blessings also Guru has given. Now, rest is our job. We have to do next. So, Guru says, Swasti vav paraya tamasav parastat. So, with those blessings, now also for a few minutes, we will also sit and try. If we try, something will happen. And as soon as something happens, we should not feel happy, because whatever is happening, that is not the self. The one who is the knower of that which is happening. That's where we have to abide. Sit in a comfortable position. We visualize this entire network of the energy channels throughout our body, from the head to the toes. Everywhere is this channel of energies spread out, lending vitality, sentiency to each limb, each cell. And we visualize all these channels coming and converging in the spiritual heart. The heart where I feel I. That feeling of I often is translated as a thought. Let us focus on the source of that I thought. What is the source, the substratum from which I thought arises in the heart? Who knows the I thought? The knower of the I thought cannot be another I thought. As soon as we get a reply, I know the I thought, that is also I thought, that is also the ego. The deep feeling of I in the heart without the thought is what I am. Out of habit, the mind tends to wander. Let us remind ourselves the instruction of the rishis. Anya vacho vimunchatha. Give up all other thoughts and wanderings and just tam eva ekam janatha atmanam. Know that oneself alone. Bring the mind back again to the pursuit of this supreme knowledge. Let's get to the root of the I. In the heart. Where does this feeling of I come from? That is me. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari